So we're coming up and working on the arms here. So we're going to work both the inside, the softer, more yin side, and we're going to be looking at the channels that start in and around the chest for the yin meridians of the arm. And we're going to see how they start here and come up for the lung, pericardium, and the heart. And on the flip side, we're going to look at the yang meridians of the arm, and they are the large intestine. It starts on the index finger and comes up onto the face, the triple warmer, and small intestine, which comes on the back. Yesterday we did 3 points on the small intestine for the shoulder girdles, small intestine 9, 10, and 11 in the bellies of the teres, and then also in the middle of the scapula on the back, in the belly rather of infraspinatus. Comes up onto the face. So we're going to look at that. So in starting with the arms, one thing that's a very beneficial practice I find is sustained stretching before we do anything, because how it affects the connective tissue. And the meridians are embedded in the water-soluble fascia of the connective tissue. So anything, that's why this stretching, and in this case particularly sustained stretching, because sustained stretching changes the viscosity of the fascia, because it creates heat, sustained pressure, so it changes the fluid of it, and it becomes more pliable, so things that are embedded in it flow more freely. Because the fascia has a tendency to get stuck at the joints a lot of times, like the chi. And a lot of times with sustained stretching, they'll feel some mild fascial burning, it's called. You feel any? So it's a very good practice and absolutely no danger of spontaneous combustion whatsoever. Not as of yet. Okay? So that's a very good practice. It makes the work easier. So in dealing with the arm here, we're going to start with a little general loosening. So again, my hand is going to be cupping over the humerus, and the heel of my hand goes in the upper fibers of pec major. Thank you. And we're going to be compressing and rotating. So it's a pin and stretch. Okay. And then just some general compression. I'm going to use my knee here for the forearm, so I'm going to come and lower my knee onto the forearm. It's a very controlled movement from your center. I'm going to come up to the wrist and just open up. All the source points of the yin meridians of the arm, lung, pericardium, and heart are on the wrist crease. So you want to spend some time opening, or rubbing in the wrist crease, and then just physically opening it, pushing up in it, create a little space. Create a little space. And then onto the hand. So compressing onto the hand. After years of doing barefoot shiatsu, my foot has turned entirely black from compression. So just a little warning to you kids out there just starting barefoot shiatsu. You might end up with black appendages. But, you know, black goes with everything, so it's easy to dress for. So
there you go.
That's no problem.
You know, if that's the side effect, that's the side effect.
Yeah, you got to live with it.
Not too bad.
Okay, so some general loosening, and please don't limit yourself to those few things I showed you. Make it your own, but there's just some basic loosening techniques. Just make sure that you do some stretching and some compression here where they all begin, and then along the soft portion of the arm, this is where the yin meridians are, out to the hand. And now we can get specific to the individual pathway, and then we'll do the source points. So the first one is the lung meridian, and it starts just below the clavicle, and in palpation, you'll be feeling just below the clavicle, and as you make your way out laterally, you'll feel an indentation in the musculature. And just immediately below that, one finger width, is lung 1. Sensitive? This is the beginning of the lung meridian. So pressing here, and then the meridian comes over the shoulder, and it comes in between the bicep and the tricep on the thumb side. So on yourself, this little divot here, after it comes over the shoulder, it comes right between the bicep and the tricep, and it comes down on the soft portion of the arm in line with the thumb and right out to the lower corner of the nail of the thumb. So you want to make sure to bring some specificity to your work that you're doing some finger pressure into that pathway. And again, how you want to do it, completely up to you, whatever works. You know the location and see what suits you as far as doing that pathway. This first one again is for lung. The source point for lung is right on the wrist crease, like I mentioned before, in line with the thumb. If you feel on yourself, at the end of the wrist crease, in line with the thumb, there's a little hollow. And you want to press up towards the thumb, you'll feel a slight ache. That's the source point for lung meridian. Okay, so you want to stimulate that. And you want to ask the person you're working on, particularly in the beginning when you're learning Subo, if they feel a dull ache or not. And then right into the pad of the thumb, into the side of the thumb, and then it ends, like I mentioned, in the lower corner of the nail right there. So that's lung meridian. The next one is pericardium. And the pericardium meridian starts on the side here, in between the ribs. And it comes up into the top of the shoulder, and then it goes right between the bicep heads. So like the gastroc in the lower leg where the bladder passes through, this is the same. It goes right through the bicep heads. So right through the head, right through here. And it comes straight down, right out the tip of the middle finger. So after general loosening, you can bring more specificity to the work just by sinking in and working that line. The source point, like the lung source point, is right in the center of the wrist crease, in line with the middle finger. So placing your thumb in the wrist crease and then bringing the wrist towards you is the source point for pericardium. Then it goes right through the center of the palm and right out the tip of the middle finger. The last yin meridian of the arm for the heart starts right in the center of the armpit. And it comes in between the bicep, and the tricep on the little finger side. So it starts here, and it comes in this groove here between bicep and tricep. And it's a straight line on the soft tissue of the forearm, right in line with the little finger, and it comes right to the wrist crease. This is where the source point is. And when it comes on the palm, it comes in between the 4th and 5th metacarpal on the inside of the little finger and ends at the lower corner of the nail of the little finger. So in doing stimulation here, we just lean in like this and let your thumbs go right in that groove between the bicep and the tricep, right onto the forearm, sinking in on the exhale. You notice the work is in front of me. And we come to the source point at the end of the wrist crease, in line with the little inside of the little finger. You'll feel it on yourself. You'll feel a dull ache. Yeah, that must be it. and then onto the hand, and it comes on the inside of the little finger and ends right at the corner of the nail. Okay, so those are the general loosening and following the pathway of the 3 yin meridians of the arm, lung, pericardium, and then finally heart, starting with the armpit, through the groove between the bicep and the tricep on the forearm, coming up onto the hand between the 4th and 5th metatarsal on the inside of the little finger. Okay? All right, let's stop there.